What's up YouTube? Jeff back again from High on Android and DopeTechDaily.com, and today I'm bringing you guys an unboxing of the Nextbit Robin. Well, actually I've been using it for about 24 hours, so this is more of an impressions video. I'm also going to give you guys some size comparisons to some of the other devices that I own, but I do want to go ahead and show you guys what's in the box. It's pretty simple packaging, but very nice packaging from Nextbit. You can see what they include in there. You've got the Robin itself, lithium-ion battery that's built in, non-removable, USB data cable, and a SIM pin that's in a very unique shape. You do not get an actual wall charger here. It comes with USB Type-C to Type-A, so you can use another charger if you have one laying around. If you don't, you'll have to purchase one from Nextbit. So let's go ahead and take off the sleeve here. I'll show you guys quickly what's inside here, inside the packaging. Let me just set the phone to the side. So you can see here inside, you've got your SIM tool here. It's in the shape of a cloud, like the cloud logo for Nextbit. It's pretty unique SIM tool shape. I already have a whole bunch of these, so I didn't really take it out just because I didn't really need it to remove the SIM. You've got your very unique color, sort of a mint color, or Tiffany blue is what I call this color. My fiance loves Tiffany & Company. So does my mom, so I'm used to calling things Tiffany blue. I've got a lot of comments on this phone from some women when I was out today using the phone on the color. You can see here you've got a fingerprint scanner on the side. Then of course back here you've just got some paperwork. If you fold this out really quick, there's a little paperwork here on your warranty and such. So not too much inside the box. Of course, the one thing that's missing is the power adapter, as I mentioned. So if you expect to get that with the phone, don't expect to get it if you buy a Nextbit Robin. You'll have to buy it separately if you don't have another power adapter laying around. All right, so other than that, I just want to bring in the phone, talk about it, and then give you guys some size comparisons to some of the other phones I own. As you can see, it does have that sort of mint color. I got the mint color instead of the dark midnight. I may wish I've gotten the dark midnight. I think my fiance and my mom, like I said, are going to love this color. A lot of women have complimented me on the color of the phone. It's not a terrible color. It's just a unique sort of color. You can see you've also got that same blue on the volume buttons, on the power button over here, which has got a fingerprint scanner. And one thing I did notice when I took the SIM card out, probably hard to see on the video, but the SIM tray itself doesn't lay perfectly flush with the body of the phone. You might be able to see it's raised up a little bit on this side right here near the power button. It's a little annoying because when I'm trying to use the fingerprint scanner like this, then of course sometimes I mistake the SIM card slot because it's a little raised up there for the actual power button itself, which of course I don't want. Overall, though, it's a very nice phone. Overall, the build is not bad at all, considering it's not a glass metal build like we might see on the S7 or on the Note 5. Some people might not like that. You've got a little Nextbit branding. You got the cloud logo with some LEDs here that are going to light up whenever it's offloading some apps up to the cloud. That's, of course, one of the big selling points of this phone. It is a little big. And it's got this squarish shape, so it's a little sharp at the corners. So if you have smaller hands, it's a 5.2-inch screen, but it's a pretty large phone. Just to give you some comparisons, you've got the Xperia Z5, which this phone reminds me a lot of the Xperia Z5. They have a very similar shape, but the Z5 is quite a bit smaller. You can see the Robin is quite a bit taller than the Z5. It's also a little bit wider than the Z5 as well. And I would say, no, they're very similar in thickness. But it's definitely a taller phone, which means you're going to have to stretch your finger up to the top of the corner to actually reach the corners of the screen. So that's something to keep in mind. If you bought this phone because you wanted a smaller 5.2-inch screen, you're actually getting a relatively large form factor for that screen size. A few other comparisons to the Xperia Z5. They both have side fingerprint scanners. Now I can tell you for sure the fingerprint scanner on the Robin is much better than the one on the Z5 in my experience. I haven't even been using the one on the Z5 anymore because it's so bad actually. The fingerprint scanner on this one has been very bad. I've got a full review of this phone still coming. I just put it off because I've had so many other things to do. But overall, the fingerprint scanner on the side wasn't my favorite placement before, but since I've had the Robin, it's been very nice. A few other things about the software. It does not come with a launcher, an app drawer installed for the launcher by default. You have just all the apps living on the home screens, kind of like an iPhone, kind of like the LG G5 coming up. So of course, if you want a launcher, you can install one that will give you an app drawer, but it doesn't come there by default. You have this little purple button right here, which will let you check out which apps are penned and which apps are archived. Now you can choose to pen certain apps. You see I've chosen some of my favorite apps that I use a lot to stay on the phone so they don't get offloaded to the cloud storage. You can also check all of your apps and your archived apps. You can kind of use this as an app drawer if you want, but it's an extra button press. If you go to all apps, that'll give you a list of all your apps, and then you can just open something up and then you can keep going from there. But if you do want a traditional app drawer, you can get Nova Launcher, Action Launcher 3, any of the launchers I've talked about. There are speakers on the top and the bottom here, so this is not a home button. That's actually something that Nextbit points out in the packaging. These are both speakers on the top and the bottom, and the speakers are actually pretty good overall. I've had no problems with the speakers whatsoever. You guys can sort of get a look at those. They are sort of indented, so the bottom one kind of does look like a home button right out of the box, but I've had no problems with these speakers at all. They're very, very loud. They do lose a little clarity at the top end, but overall no problem with the loudness. I definitely can hear it watching YouTube videos, watching Netflix, etc. No issues at all. If you look at the drop down here, you've got pretty stock looking settings. Of course, they've got this mint or Tiffany blue color theme throughout, but otherwise the settings itself looks a lot like Marshmallow. It is running Android 6.0, as you guys can see right there. And overall, it's been very, very fluid. It's got a Snapdragon 808 inside, and I haven't had many problems. I showed some of the benchmarks last night. I posted those over on Twitter, so you guys can check out the Geekbench results and the Antutu results. They're really nothing that impressive. I think about 63,000 on Antutu, which isn't terrible for a Snapdragon 808. I haven't had a lot of issues. One thing that I have noticed is that it does have some RAM management issues, but so does the S7 Edge, of course, especially apps like YouTube Studio or social media apps. They'll take a while to load if you haven't loaded them in a while and you're using a bunch of apps. I don't think I have that many apps open right now. No, I don't really have that many apps active right now. But if you have, 10 to 15 apps active, then some of your apps like social media, YouTube Studio especially is a big one. I had talked about that a little bit in my S7 Edge review. But it does have some RAM management issues. And also, whenever you're refreshing things like your Instagram feed, sometimes it'll take a while to load. So if I swipe down, sometimes it takes a little longer than I would like for it to load. But otherwise, no real problems. I haven't had a chance to play very many games. I played a little light gaming with Zigzag and One More Line. But those particular games, they're not too demanding, so I'll have to do a little more testing on that. No really big problems. Again, the SIM card issue, that's one thing. The fingerprint scanner seems really, really good. And also, I have been pretty impressed with the battery life. Last night I used it. I just unplugged it today, so nothing really to see in the battery. But last night I used it pretty much all day, and I had about 10% left at the end of the night, and I'd gotten about 4 hours screen on time. That's not too bad, actually, for a phone of this size. So, of course, I'll have to check out the battery life a little bit more. But overall, pretty good experience with this phone so far. Again, it is USB Type-C. It's a USB Type-C to Type-A, so if you have any charger lying around, it should be able to charge the Nextbit Robin. It also has a little LED notification indicator here on the bottom right there, so you'll actually be able to get little LED notifications if you have notifications waiting for you. So that's another good feature. I like to have it. I'd kind of prefer to have it up top than on the bottom, but I'm starting to get used to having it on the bottom, so it's not really a big deal. Otherwise, of course, I'm going to have to test out the cloud storage offloading. That's the big feature of the Robin. I'll have a full follow-up on that in my full review. You can see here that it actually hasn't archived any of my apps yet so far. All of my apps that I've installed are still on the phone, so I'll have to wait and see how smart it is at actually offloading apps that I don't use that often. I'm going to load it up with all of the apps that I use so we can see if the Robin will be smart enough to offload that. Also checked out the camera very briefly. Of course, I can't say much about that in the day, but I took a few shots. It's a pretty solid camera. I would put it somewhere on par maybe with the Moto X Pure. It's pretty similar type camera. It's very quite good and good lighting, but I took some low light shots and they're kind of mediocre. It might be a few steps below the Moto X Pure actually. So those are my initial impressions. Kind of a big phone for 5.2 inches. It's got some sharp corners. The one issue I had with the SIM card, if you're looking to pick up some ladies, you might be able to do so because they do love this color. I got 4 compliments using that phone just out today. If you guys have any questions about this phone, feel free to drop them below and I'll definitely address them in my full review. If you want me to test anything in specific with this phone, I'll definitely be looking more at the side fingerprint scanner. Definitely let me know what you want to see in the full review. If you guys would like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, I really appreciate it as it helps out the channel. I appreciate you guys checking out this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching.